Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Gracie, Brian Lawton, and Sid Hartman. Sid, have you ever seen weather like this in your 90-plus years?
It's the worst. I was born BC.
Yeah.
and I have never seen anything like this. I never seen rain as hard. It was raining here about a couple hours ago. I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of flooding around.
I tell you, a guy like you might move if it keeps going like
Here's
this.
the sad thing. We got the Dodgers. We get the Dodgers here about 3 times since 1965. And
This week is one of them.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and they might not get to play a game.
Well, if they do, nobody's
The
going
weather's
anyway.
supposed to be rotten.
Oh, man. NHL playoffs. Brian, what'd you think last night? Referees, take it away. What do we got?
Boy, you know what I really liked? I liked the way that Mike Yeo handled it. You know, there were some really unfortunate things that happened for the Wild, some of the calls, tough calls all night long from the refs. But it doesn't matter. It happens for everybody. You can't dwell on it. Mike Yeo came out right away and said, look, we're moving past it. And I think that's the right attitude, Mike.
I got to ask you a question. Just because they're offsides doesn't mean you have to give up a goal.
That's right.
Don't you have defense? I mean, you know, the guy's okay. He gets across the line this much too early. Stop him.
Yeah,
You know,
so
don't let
many
him go in
things.
and score.
Yeah, over a season, it evens out. I know people made a big, it's terribly inopportune for the Wild, but there's nothing you can do about it other than get ready to play tomorrow night, and that's what they're focusing on. So,
the Twins won 2 World Series by winning every home game and losing every road game. Is it like that in hockey? I mean, home ice that important?
this year, more than in quite a while. I don't know if the coaches are doing a better job, but the matchups this year, the ability to have your stick down second in the face-off, all this is having a much bigger effect than it has in the past, in my opinion.
I still don't buy it, though. Hockey's, you know, 3-2 games. There's, you know, it's a home field, but it's not. And by the way, Sid, even baseball's not like it was here in the Dome. That's a complete
an aberration.
Yeah, that's a complete aberration.
Plus, St. Louis was banged up when they came
There's
here.
no great baseball advantage, and you know what? What I've detected in Major League Sports is home field means yet less than it used to.
Because
It seems like, I think that you got a more mature athlete who comes in and plays his game.
Yeah, they're used to handling that type of pressure, that's for sure, more. You know, all the buildings seem to be full in pro sports these days, at least in, you know, maybe not all the Minnesota ones right now.
I got
but
a question for you as a player, though. So they're screaming like lunatics. What difference does it make?
Absolutely
Why don't you
none.
pretend like they're screaming for you when
That's
you're
right.
a road team?
That's right. That's what you do. It's exactly what you do, and you play well on the road.
Yeah.
Is the crowd that important?
You know what? For me, personally, I always felt like it energized me as a player. I wanted, when I went on the road, I mean, I only had a couple of hat tricks in the NHL. They were both in Chicago Stadium.
Nice place to have them.
Now, Chicago Stadium was one of the most hostile places you've ever played hockey. But for me personally, I just felt like it really energized me.
How was the North Star crowd?
The North Star crowd was,
Which year?
in general, though, it was a little bit quieter crowd overall. It wasn't a rambunctious
They were
group.
pretty good in 81 and 91 when we let them tailgate till about
That's
till
right.
7 o'clock. Then they were pretty good.
Did you think Patrick Waugh made some adjustments? Because when he got steamrolled twice in St. Paul, people started to say, well, maybe this guy is a good motivator, but technically, did he make some adjustments?
Yeah, last game was the first game that I really saw him make some meaningful adjustments. Obviously, the Wild completely dominated for their home games here, and they're going to be looking to do the same tomorrow night. But I think Patrick Waugh is using video. He's working with his staff. He's making some adjustments. I don't expect it to be as dominating a game for the Wild as
Boy,
it's
that
been.
McKinnon kid didn't have much room to score the winner, did he?
Well,
Spurgeon's like this.
Boom. That was a really incredible play, and he's been incredible. 10 points in 3 games in Colorado, not here in Minnesota. We'll see if that changes tomorrow. If it doesn't, then I certainly like the Wild's chances tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
What's your feel for this series right now?
Well, they're certainly improved over last year when the Blackhawks just...
Well, they've only won one more playoff game than they won last year so far, so be careful there.
Yeah, I'm talking about a number of goals. that the Blackhawks scored on.
Oh, I see the way the game's played.
They've been much more competitive games this
Yeah,
year.
but,
Last year it wasn't very
I think there's a
competitive.
good reason for that. The Blackhawks were a lot better
Then
than
Colorado. Yeah. Yeah.
Who's
But this
gonna win?
team's better too.
Well, the winner of the Colorado and Minnesota gets the Blackhawks. So, that'll be
The Blackhawks as good as they've been.
I think they're as good as they've been. They certainly dispatched a St. Louis team that led the league for 90% of the
By
season.
the
won
way,
4 straight,
Brian,
right?
the Ken Hitchcock mystique is taking a blow. They go get him Ryan Miller and trade half their future and don't get out of the first round. Oof.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, they were the team to beat for a long time in this league, and then all of a sudden at the end they just faded. But I kind of thought they'd regroup for the playoffs. They didn't.
No, they didn't. They had a lot of injuries down the stretch. I personally have gone on the record a couple of times and said that I thought that St. Louis might struggle in the playoffs only because they play a playoff game every night all year long in the
Because of
regular
their coach?
season.
Physically.
Because of their coach. That's the way they play, and it really wears on you over
Who's their
82
coach?
games. Ken Hitchcock. And
He's been all over the place.
He's been all over the place, and he's an excellent coach. But
Why
I
did he get
just
fired?
well, he's been fired a few times, but St. Louis had an
Hockey,
incredible
that's
year. St. Louis had an incredible year this year. They had an excellent year last year. They just haven't figured it out in the playoffs yet.
I remember I used to go to St. Louis when I was involved with the Lakers, and they played in a barn.
Yeah.
For
The old
years.
Checker Barn,
The
right?
old
Terrible.
Checker Dome.
Yep, Checker Dome.
Did you play in there?
I played in the Checker Dome. Yes, I did.
That was a great
What a
one.
dumpy that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's the best hockey coach you've ever met?
Hockey coach?
Yeah.
Who's the
Best.
best? Scotty Bowman.
Because
Well, I was close to him. The people who owned the Canadians were people I met through Steinbrenner, and every time they came to town, we had dinner the night before. And in fact, I was sitting, a pretty good story. I was sitting with Steinbrenner. What was it? The liquor people?
Bus.
Molson.
Molson family.
No, not Molson.
Wirtz?
No.
Wirtz.
Oh, the Wirtz. Bill
They're
Wirtz.
Jewish people.
Bill Wirtz.
No, I'm
From
talking
Montreal.
about Montreal.
Anyway,
Anyway.
finish the story.
Anyway, he told George Steinbrenner, he says, I got to get rid of the hockey team. I paid them a lot of money, and my employees want the same money that the hockey players get. So I'm selling the team.
Yeah,
That's how
well,
he got out
I
of
think
hockey.
you'd go out of business if you were paying. That was probably when they were paying the hockey players $12,000.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah, for sure.
$2.6 million or whatever.
Take a break, come back, sports show.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quart surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.
Quality. It's the result of shared values. The joy found in an honest day's work. Respect for true American craftsmanship and the need, not the want, to get things right. It's the result of remembering your roots, being forever humbled by how far you've traveled and forever hungry to push on further. Quality is a result. Quality is who we are. Cambria. Family owned, American made.
The Twin Cities' best Subaru deals are a walk in the park at Luther White Bear Subaru. Uh-oh. They must have seen another Subaru. Lease a new Outback for just $269 a month or a new Legacy for only $179 a month. Rather buy? Save with 0% financing on every new Outback and Legacy in stock. Also now available, the 2015 Subaru Forester. Man's best friend, huh? I'm Dan Mullen, and thanks for watching. Luther White Bear Subaru, Highway 61, just north of 694 in White Bear Lake.
A003 license renewal. local Subway. The new Tuscan Chicken Florentine Melt, served with spinach Florentine spread on fresh toasted flatbread. Enjoy the primo flavor of herb-seasoned grilled chicken with new spinach Florentine spread, a creamy, garlicky blend of Parmesan cheese hand-mixed with fresh spinach. Enjoy it on any sub you love. But don't wait. Freshly mixed spinach Florentine spread and the Tuscan Chicken Florentine Melt are at a Subway near you for a limited time only. Subway, eat fresh.
Audi A4 drivers have spoken. And they rank the A4 highest in total quality index in its class. Experience the new Audi A4 at your local dealer today.
Looking for a nice, big, juicy rack of ribs?
Fabulous chops, huge steaks, and the Buddy Bowl? Then J.D. Hoyt's is the place for you. Hoyt's opened in 1983, and Mike Andrews and his partner John White have kept this Minnesota tradition at the top of the food chain. Managing owner Pat Montague gives us a tour.
At J.D. Hoyt's, enjoy a relaxed atmosphere, great food, friendly service, private dining room, second to none happy hour, just blocks from the new ballpark.
Located at 394 in North Washington. Locally owned, nationally known. Hoyt's.
There it is, locally owned, nationally known, J.D. Hoyt's on Washington. Stop on by if you're in downtown Minneapolis for any event. The Twins and beyond that's coming that way. So how do you handicap this game tomorrow night for the Wild?
The Wild?
Yeah. How do you handicap tomorrow night?
I think they'll win tomorrow night, and I think they'll lose the next game. It goes 7 games. I think, I don't know. Is Colorado a better team than the Wild?
No.
I don't think they are.
They're as good, though.
Yeah, their defense is weak, and that has really shown in the series, in my opinion. But
How about the goaltender, though?
Their goaltender has been excellent. Darcy Kemper's played very well since he's come in. I think the Colorado Avalanche missing Matt Duchene, really their number one offensive player.
They might break him out tomorrow night.
If he comes out tomorrow night, that'll be a difference, in my opinion.
That's a difference maker.
What's good about him?
Well,
A lot of speed, a lot of skill. It will just complete 2 scoring threat lines for them. And they haven't really had that in the series. It's pretty much been McKinnon and Landeskog and Stastny.
By the way, Landeskog got called for one that I didn't think they'd call that late in the game last night when he sprayed their...
Yeah, that was a strange one.
For playoffs, I mean, late in the game.
For playoffs.
That's probably why they let the guy get away with holding Charlie Coyle.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
You got to even him up.
It goes both ways, but that was a strange call, Mike.
Are they letting them get by with more stuff in the playoffs than they do during the season, the officials?
They're not supposed to, but I feel like they always do a little bit more. And it's okay. The players just want to know what the feel is that night.
It's like an umpire.
Because it does change from night to night.
Tell me what the strike zone is.
I love
like an
Patrick
umpire.
Roy today, though. He said, yeah, I'm all for a coach's challenge on the offsides play.
Yeah, he's been for that.
He's a pretty straight shooter.
No, he did that during the press conference. He also was outspoken about Matt Cook, how long it should be a playoff suspension. What did you think of the whole Cook thing?
Well, it was... I think he was going to get 5 days, and then they saw the photo in the St. Paul paper and said, we better make it 7, because if anybody's seen that, there's no question of intent. If you saw that, you could see him looking down at the knee and sticking his knee out and saying, how am I going to do this?
All right, so, Brian, you bring in Matt Cook. He's the agitator. He gets through the year without any major problems, but you know that this is part of it. When you're a general manager, how do you value a guy like that? How do you put a value on it?
I think Matt Cook has been an incredibly valuable player all year long for the Wild, quite frankly. I think he's done a nice job. I think he's done exactly what he was brought in to do. He has toned his act down. It just looks terrible when you've done this in the past, and then it manifests
5 seconds.
itself.
It was 5 seconds. It's one of those, why did I do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those 5-second
moves
saying, I got a chance to take a shot here. I'm going to, shucks, why'd I do it?
Do you think he did that on purpose, or was it the way the other kid moved or something like that?
I don't think he ever consciously does it on purpose, but I think he, in the past, certainly consciously plays in that gray area. And it's just not acceptable now. And it was a horrific event for Tyson Berry.
Well, that's
Obviously,
the thing.
he's
How
on
do
the
you
other
begin
end
to
of it.
measure if a guy's out that long? And you told me they're real aggressive about that. You can't just say, hey, we think we might lose him for 8 weeks. You've got to be real accurate in your health assessment of the NHL opponent.
Yeah, you won't see Tyson Berry coming back in this series.
No.
That's for sure.
You won't see him in
so the NHL does their due diligence. They'll check out the medical reports. They'll make sure everything is as it's advertised. And in this case, Tyson Berry, 4 to 6 weeks is the prognosis. Maybe it's sooner, but it's certainly more than
Probably
the amount of time that Matt Cook would be suspended if the playoffs
Wild are
continue
just
on.
like the Timberwolves. They have leads at the end of the game, 5, 6 minutes.
That is the darndest
How many
thing to see
games
that
have they
twice
lost?
late in the third period, Patrick. Colorado score. You're that close to winning games.
Yeah, well, you got to. I think you got to give Colorado some credit too.
Oh,
for
yeah.
not packing it in. I still think Eric Johnson's play in Game 1 is one of the great hustle plays I've ever seen. Because it would have been very easy to say, "The heck with it, I'm not going to get there," and he got down there and saved the puck, and they won the game. So, yeah.
Brian, what's the general manager do during a playoff series? How involved do they get with the team, or do you lay off at that point?
Everybody has a different philosophy on that. Some of the GMs, they want to, generally have a meeting to kick the playoffs off, maybe to set the tone with the coaches. Some guys stay away. Some guys spend all their time working the officials. Whether they do it subtly or they do it directly. And I can think of Brian Burke screaming that Sedin is not Swedish for punch me in the back of the head series when Vancouver was playing. So everybody's got a different flavor for how they handle it.
The press conferences are funny, though, with the coaches. They're like a lot of it. It hasn't been too bad in this series, but sending the message to the referees in the press conferences.
That's right.
Jacques was a master.
Jacques was really good at that.
Yeah, sending the message to the referees.
What would you do during the basketball playoffs when you're involved in Lakers? Did you ever get on referees or not?
Well, I don't know what you do.
No, but did you?
Basketball is a lot different.
But when
than-
you were running the Lakers, did you ever get on the referees during the playoffs?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do?
Playoffs all season. I sit at
In the off-season.
end of the floor, and they were always laughing at me. And then they're my buddy who go out and have a drink or with Pat Kennedy or Manny and some of those guys. Let me tell you, those basketball officials in those days were so much better than they are today. There's no comparison.
How do you measure that?
Well, there wasn't as many teams,
Yeah.
so you didn't need as many officials.
And then everybody was
because of all
slower,
the
so it was easier to
expansion,
watch the game.
You need a lot of new officials who aren't that good.
Sure.
What do you think of the baseball replay so far, Patrick?
Oh, I think they panicked on this transfer rule and changed it. And now anytime a ball hits a guy in a glove, they're going to call him out. But it hasn't been that bad. It's, it has. They haven't figured out the collision at home plate yet. It's they don't know what the hell they're looking for on that play. But it's, I don't think that it had to go this far. I think they could have just gone with the lines, and the.
Yep.
You know what my theory was? If the umpires want to look at it, let them. And encourage the umpires more to, if they see the guy at
As
first...
opposed to a challenge, you mean?
Yes. If they see the guy at first base screw up like Jim Joyce did on the perfect game, the guy at second knew he was out. The guy at third knew he was out. And the home plate umpire knew that he was out. And one of them walked over and said, hey, Jim, let's take a look at it. I think they should have just let the umpires get
Police
together more
themselves.
often and to look at replay if they wanted to.
Do they look at first base too?
Well, yeah, of course. That's one of their plays.
Were they safer out at first base?
Yes, that's a replayable.
That's a big
that's
one.
a reviewable.
But they like Dozier
now.
got thrown on a second yesterday.
A reviewable event.
Attention, please get a pencil. Announcing a hearing breakthrough, a microchip that is so small it can fit on the head of a pen. Worn hidden entirely in your ear canal, making you hear clear as a bell. And it's proudly made in the USA. Do you feel left out of conversations? Is it difficult to hear words in noisy environments? Do others say that you listen to the TV or radio too loudly? Do you feel like a bother to others due to your problems hearing? If you answered yes, you may qualify for this new chip in the ear. Only 50 participants are needed to try this microchip, so get a pencil. Call now to see if you qualify. This revolutionary chip actually mimics the natural sound selection of the human ear. With multi-core microprocessors, technology used in the most advanced computers, sounds are analyzed and classified each millisecond, controlling noise and making speech clear. Do not wait. Call now to see if you qualify to wear this revolutionary new microchip.
I have evidence that proves my dad's a space alien. Speaks a weird language. Drinks green stuff. He says he's from Albuquerque. I'm not buying it. I mean, just look at him. And one more thing. He has a spaceship. The evidence doesn't lie. My dad is an alien.
The highly advanced Audi A6, named to car and drivers 10 best. Experience exceptional value on the Audi A6 at your local dealer today.
Stop on by, see Charlie and the gang, Audi Minneapolis, right off of General Mills Boulevard and 394. Drive away on A4. You will drive away happy. Welcome back to the Sports Show. We were just talking during the break about umpires and referees. Patrick, I don't know what the number is, but you watched the Twins play, and these games are going 3.5 hours because nobody calls a strike. Nobody throws strikes.
Did you see the game Saturday?
My
game
gosh,
I
they
see
brought
Saturday,
these relievers in.
There was a guy who threw a ball, absolutely split the plate at the navel, and they call it a ball.
Didn't even move.
I mean, what the hell? What happened to the letters? Because Sandy Alderson, when he went to this whole computerized system, it was to get him to call a high strike. They don't call it above the navel now.
Not even
If you
close.
throw it at the top of the stomach, it's a ball.
But then you get behind in the count, and then guys are trying to force it and try to figure out where the umpire's at, and these games are just hard to watch.
Won't call strike.
I don't know anything about the umpires, but Patrick's an expert on baseball. But I'm very happy for Terry Ryan that some of those ball players he signed, that me included, were all criticizing for signing these guys, and their two best players as far as the bat goes are Kubel and what's the other guy's name?
Colabello.
Those two guys, nobody expect them to do anything. They're both hit on over 300, lead them in RBI. It's unbelievable. Whether that'll continue when they play good teams, I don't know.
I predicted it won't continue because if it continues, Chris Colabello would drive in 199 runs. I don't think it'll continue. But if he drives in 75, we'll all be happy, won't we?
What's the most important thing when you run an organization about your philosophy and sticking with it, Brian?
Well, the most important thing when you're running an organization is to try to build the right culture, and everybody always talks about what the culture is, but
You
it's
gotta
really
be there for a while to build the culture, don't you?
You do. It's about your actions every day. It's about what you confirm as proper behavior and what you confront as improper behavior, and it takes a long time. But when you take over an organization, it's not unlike any other business. It's really the same philosophies and concepts. You want to be consistent in your message. You want to earn respect yourself up and down the organization, and you want to promote communication and coordination with your structure.
So Twins sometimes get blamed for sticking with people too long, but do you think that in general in Major League Sports they don't get long enough to build the culture of manager?
I think the Twins are somewhat of an anomaly in Major League Sports, and I think that probably runs back to Carl Pohlad and his philosophies.
It sure seems like it, doesn't it, Patrick?
And that's something that's stuck there. You know this
I
better
think
than anybody.
loyalty has been one of their issues, actually. But,
And you're saying negative issues.
Yeah, in some sense. I mean, I don't mind you keep giving guys chances and chances, but, my big problem is that you look at this club, the future of this franchise is kids from Latin America. They don't have a Spanish-speaking, they got one Spanish-speaking coach in their four minor league teams that are the full season ones. I mean that Ortega guy, the pitching coach. The best I can tell, I got one Spanish speaker in the organization. It's idiotic. You got to communicate with this team. Somebody's got to go tell Oswaldo Arcia, Oswaldo, you want to make some money in this game? Play. You got to stop taking a week off because you got the stomach flu, and you got to stop taking a week off because your wrist is sore.
Okay, so you're a manager of a hockey team or any team, general manager or manager, and you think somebody's not playing through pain. How do you address that? Can you?
It's tough.
Yeah, you can. The best way to, first of all, the best way to handle your players is to know them well. And to your point, if you can't communicate with them, that is a major problem.
Hopefully their teammates will.
Yes, the teammates will.
I'm talking about the gray area, when somebody's saying that they're injured and they can't come back and nobody thinks they're that injured.
Well, Bud Grant, every year, I've told this story before,
no.
He would make a list of 10 guys who would be in the
training room
the first week, and he never was wrong.
Well, I think that's very true, but how can you handle
that comes to the fact of knowing your players, and everybody is different. And I will tell you one thing about today's hockey players in particular, because that's my expertise, obviously, is that kids have grown up significantly different than the era that I played in the 80s and the 90s.
Don't you also think diagnosis is part of the issue now?
Maybe. Of course it is.
I mean, you can find, you know.
Yeah, just keep looking, right?
You know, they're saying
Hockey
10
players.
years ago, some of these guys who got concussions wouldn't have missed a shift. Well, it's good that we now tell them they have concussions and don't let them play. So.
Hockey players, they stitch them up and they go right out and play. That don't happen in other sports.
Well, yeah, take a break, come back.
If you guys could go on a free shopping spree anywhere, where would you go? I'd go to the grocery store. Pizza, ice cream. I'd go shop for clothes. You know where I go? I'd go to Ticket King. Ticket King! At Ticket King, you can buy great seats for the Vikings, Christian Ponder, the Wild, Zach Parise, the Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio, and of course the Twins. We love the Twins. Yep, this is where I go. Vikings, Twins, Wild, Timberwolves, Gophers, theater, and concerts too. Justin Bieber! Hey, I like him first. For details, go to ticketkingonline.com. Any ticket, anytime, anywhere. It's the real thing. It's Ticket King. Right, Dad?
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
That's for sure.
I'm Michelle Tafoya, and once again, Taste of the NFL was the hottest ticket at the Super Bowl. Thank you for joining us as we came together to deliver a successful Taste of the NFL at the Super Bowl. The money we raised means a lot. For every $1, 8 meals are provided. Thank you, Brooklyn, and thank you all for joining us at our annual Party with a Purpose, the Taste of the NFL, where food, football, and fun take a bite out of hunger in America.
Taste the NFL, check it out on the web and find out more about how you can help feed the hungry. We just mentioned, Brian, you played for him. Patrick, you were over there, Glenn Sonmore's birthday. There's an icon.
Yeah, he's a unique individual. I wrote today a little bit about how when we used to cover him in the early 80s and you'd go down there and into the locker room and there'd be 90 minutes before deadline and you weren't worried, and then you'd go in and see Glenn and pretty soon you looked and you had a half hour and you better hurry. He'd start telling stories. You played for him though, right?
I did play for him. He was a character and a wonderful human being. And it's
everybody loves him, don't they?
It's shocking for me to hear he's 85 because
boy, can you imagine that? 85 years old.
85 years old for Glenn.
Now, were you weren't?
He was a great guy. He had a lot of friends. The newspaper people had to love him.
He's 85.
He was always available.
Oh, man, he's 85. Oh,
before they had the big brawl in Boston, they were telling me
next week, everybody.
Were you there?
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quart surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.